Hey guys, so earlier today I went and saw Where the Crawdads Sing. It's one of those, it's going to be a game where I get to play how much of this movie do I remember? Because it's been like over 12 hours since I've seen this movie. I've had a busy day. I couldn't come home right after the theater and go do this review. I had to wait until late at night after I had done all my fun activities after the movie to go family activities that I had to wait until I could do this review. I don't think I'll have trouble, so we'll see how this goes. But this my plan was I was gonna go see. So I have this weird ritual. Don't ask me why. I usually go see the shortest movie first of the weekend, and then the longest movie last. And whatever I go by how long a movie is, and this is actually the longest movie this weekend. So I'm kind of doing reverse order, mainly because my sister had came home from North Carolina, and she knows I love watching movies and stuff. And she's like, "Hey, are you gonna go see Where the Crawdads Sing?" And I said, "Yeah, probably." It's like that's I'm planning sometime this weekend. And she's like, "Yeah, I want to go see it with you." She's like, "I've read the book." I'm like, "All right, cool." It's like, let's go. And this was the only time we could go. And this is probably the biggest movie of the weekend. Probably, I don't know. This is a very slow weekend at the movies. I have heard a lot about more about this than anything. Even before the movie came out, I've heard a lot about this because I've had a lot of people, for some reason, tell me how great this book is. Because which is amazes me because I was like, I got trailers for this quite a bit, and I'm like, eh. I was kind of hoping maybe I was kind of getting Vietnam flashbacks when I saw the trailers for this, like for that this might be another like redeeming love, and that it's a really terrible movie, but hilariously bad. But I was like, maybe this will be good because I was like, I've heard a lot of people tell me how good this book is, and I was like, maybe this is a pretty good story. I don't know, and the trailers didn't really sell me on it. It didn't really impress me. And I've seen that this movie's not getting well received. Probably the worst review of the weekend. So I was kind of curious, is like maybe this is like redeeming love, and that this is going to be one of those really bad but hilariously bad movies. Well, I'll say this: it's not as bad as Redeeming Love. It's not very good. It's not the worst. It's not terrible. It's just there. Honestly, it's more pointless. It's a movie that feels really fucking pointless by the end of it. And that's kind of a really bad thing to say about a movie when you just sit for a movie for 2 hours and you go, "Well, that was fucking pointless." I mean, I'll give you pretty much the best reaction I can give is like how the reactions of me and my sister as we were walking out of the theater. She turns to me and goes, "Well, the book is better." And I said, "Well, I hope fucking sure, hope fucking so." I was like, and she's like, she wasn't that impressed by this. Even for a person that liked the book, she wasn't that impressed. She didn't hate it. She was kind of like, she kind of filled in the gaps here and there, but I'll give, there are positives I could say about it. The main girl, what's her name? I haven't seen her or anything. I know she was in that movie Fresh earlier this year. I never got around to watching, but I've seen bits and pieces. I know what happens in it. Daisy Edgar Jones, she was really good. She's a really good actress. Even though she had that doughy eye look throughout the most of the movie, that was like kind of obnoxious and annoying. But at the same time, she was a pretty good actress. And she held her own with this material, even when she was given some shitty dialogue to say. You got like people like David Strahan in it as her lawyer, who is always pretty good in a very small role. You got And Garrett Dillahunt as the drunk, abusive dad to this girl when she was little, who just is kind of fun, and like he's always pretty much been a fun actor, and it's always fun to see him. I didn't know he was in this, and I was like, ah, sweet, I love it. And he plays the stereotypical drunk, abusive dad that you see in these kinds of movies. Uh, the acting, that's pretty much. I mean, the acting for the most part, like I said, is not bad. But then you also got that one dude that played. What the fuck is his name? I fucking forget. Again, it's been 12 hours, so excuse me, goddammit. That kid who plays Chase Andrews, that kid is not very good of an actor. He was very distracting. I mean, I know he's not supposed to be likable, but man, is he not a very good actor. Never once did I ever... Yeah, I was never really invested with his character one fucking bit. I guess you're not supposed to, but... This is a movie that for the most part while I'm watching this, I was watching the first half of this movie and I'm just sitting there going, okay, what's the fucking point of this? I kept thinking to myself, what's the point of this? It's not bad. It did have some fucking hokey ass dialogue. God, the dialogue in this movie is really corny. I mean, I've heard this movie compared by some reviewers to a Lifetime movie. Yeah, it's a Lifetime movie, but if it was in a movie theater, but with some better acting, somewhat better acting here and there, especially by the main actress, who definitely is a better actress than a lot of the fucking pretty much everybody in the fucking does a Lifetime movie. But the dialogue is really fucking corny. You got really corny dialogue, terrible dialogue. You got a courtroom drama that just kind of fucking disappears for like hours on end. Like, I forget that there's a murder trial going on in this movie for majority. It's like, there'll be a point, the murder trial is like secondary to the story, really. It's like the whole first half and for the majority of the movie is just flashbacks of her childhood to her growing up in the marsh by herself. Which, let's talk about Garrett Dillahunt. Like, he just fucking fucks off and disappears and never comes back. I asked my sister if she read the book. I was like, does it ever... What the fuck happened to the dad? Because I got that her mom dies, but that was one thing that was bugging me. Is it's like, everybody leaves this house. Everybody in her family, from her mom to all her siblings, leave this house one by one because their dad is an abusive asshole. And they just leave this little girl by herself with this abusive dad. And they know it. They left it. And nobody ever comes to try to help save this girl. I never really gathered why nobody ever fucking tried to help. My sister's like, oh, it's the 60s. Well, they do explain a little bit with the mom, a little bit. They try to explain it away, but they never really explained it very well about the siblings. Like, there was older siblings that were old enough that probably could have helped take care of her. I don't understand why the fuck they didn't. They just fucked off. like, okay. And, I mean, they do explain some points where, like, she's offered to go into a group home, but she don't want to. And like I said, this movie, it's like conflicting with like what it wants to be. It's a murder mystery, but it's also like this romance movie, but the romance movie takes over a majority of the movie, which really you'd think the murder trial should, but like, because like I said, the murder trial seems like an afterthought, and honestly, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think they have much evidence to go on to get a fucking full-blown trial out of this fucking thing. I'm watching this movie, I'm like, I'm no lawyer, but they don't have much of a case against her, and it's the only case really they have is that they just don't like this girl for some fucking reason. It's again, that's another thing my sister had to explain to me why they don't like her. It just don't explain why the hell they don't like her. They barely have her interact with any people at all, and when they do, they just don't like her. And they're like, "What the fuck?" That I mean, just because she's dirty, I guess. But she did explain that there is a bit of more of an explanation in the book. But I'm like, explain it in the fucking movie, goddammit. Like, and yeah, it's not a very, like I said, while I was watching this movie, as the movie was going on, yeah, the movie was not holding me for the first half, and then while the movie was going on, like, okay, it's getting a little bit better. I was kind of getting intrigued as I was starting to figure out what the fuck the whole point of some of this shit was. Like, okay, they're kind of explaining things here and there. I'm like, alright, this movie's not perfect, but it's not terrible. And I'm like, I was on board with most of the movie until the last fucking 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes, the best way to describe this, I've been trying to figure out a way to describe this for the last 12 hours, how to describe the last 10 minutes of this movie. The best way to describe this, the last 10 minutes of this movie is like, this movie is like how I felt when I watched stuff like Sharp Objects, that show Sharp Objects, and the show in that movie from last year, The Little Things with Denzel Washington and Rami Malek, where the movie just kind of ends and it fucking feels pointless. And you never get any resolution. It doesn't feel anything resolved. But there is some resolution in this movie, but it's like at the very last fucking second. But this movie, what it does, it like feels like somebody hit the fast forward button on this fucking movie and just fucking sped through to like the last act of this fucking thing, and just the epilogue of this movie, and just it was like somebody read the book, and the screenwriters read the book and like they wrote like the first half of the screenplay, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta make this whole movie only 2 hours. Fuck, we only have 10 more minutes to fucking explain what happens in the epilogue. Fuck it, we're just gonna just jump right through it. Like, it jumps right through a lot of shit very fucking quickly. I'm like, what? Like, it's very hard. I don't want to spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it. And like, it kind of goes. I was kind of getting annoyed. Like, I spent this whole fucking movie at first for a little bit, like for the majority of the movie, like on this fucking trial, and then it really never resolves the who killed this kid. But then at the very end, it does. At least it doesn't. It kind of does the Sharp Objects where it fucking ending, where it just doesn't. It pretty much throws the real killer at you at the last fucking second, and then it pisses you off. But this one is a little bit more satisfactory. But it's still like, god damn it, like this movie felt like, apparently from the book it does explain a lot of stuff a little bit better, and it doesn't, that last act of the movie doesn't go as fast in the book. I was like, I'm assuming, for the love of God. And my sister said no, it doesn't. They're like, I don't know why the fuck they just sped through to like the last 10 minutes. I don't know. That was fucking weird. I did not like the last 10 minutes of this movie. I was kind of fine for. I was ready to kind of give it like a half decent grade, and then that last 10 minutes happened and kind of pissed me off. It's not bad. I've seen worse. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's like I said, I wouldn't recommend it, but I've seen worse. Man, the month of July has been one shitty month for movies. I'm hoping Jordan Peele fucking saves us with fucking Nope. I hope that movie is not a disappointment. I am going to be so pissed this month is that, like, between 4, I knew Minions was going to suck. This, I mean, it's been kind of a very lame month for movies, so fuck. I'm hoping Nope is better, but I am still going to be seeing Paws of Fury, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris sometime eventually. Maybe tomorrow I'll be seeing Paws of Fury. I can't promise, but sometime this week I will get around to watching both movies. I'm very busy right at the moment. I got family here, and I don't know specifically when I'll be able to see everything. But until then, I will talk to you guys later.